So you don't have time to consume an entire podcast. That's okay. Enjoy the highlights on TRS Clips. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon. We had a sick spiritual leader on the show. And from every podcast, I have like one learning usually, one key learning.
Sure.
From him, he spoke about how all forms of spiritual growth, therefore intellectual growth, therefore life growth,
Right.
are related to kind of erasing the ego. So if you think
Absolutely.
you have created something or you have achieved something or
Absolutely.
you are better,
Absolutely.
it's keeping you paused in that spiritual journey of self-discovery.
Absolutely.
So what do you think of this world that you described? You said where you're forced into believing the sense of me, I. What does it do to the reality of the person? What does it do to the soul of the person?
Well, star or no star, I think all of us are building a narrative in our heads. All of us believe that we are doing something, and yes, we are. We are making choices. You are building things, but this sense of attachment of me, and any spiritual growth is about letting go of the me, right? Is to realize that is the ego playing. And for me, it's not just the stars. For them, it's even harder because it's not just them building this narrative, it's the entire machinery building the narrative for you, right? The Instagram building that narrative, the magazines are building that narrative, all interviews are building that narrative. So the narrative just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And then that's why you need a even more stronger sense of what you hold on to define your reality, so to say.
Dude, I think it's the same with any career that has fame as an attachment.
Absolutely.
Fame is at the forefront for actors. Fame is probably secondary for me. Fame is also secondary for an athlete, which brings me to the subject of Mason Greenwood. You heard what happened?
No.
So there used to be this footballer called Robin van Persie about 10 years ago. Incredible striker. Okay, best left foot you'll ever see. If the ball touches his foot, you can expect that it's in the goal.
Right.
So there's this young kid who's I think about 19 years old. His name is Mason Greenwood, and he's supposed to be the second coming of Robin van Persie. Huge career in front of him. He plays next to Ronaldo. He combines well with Ronaldo. When you see him play, you realize this kid has talent.
Right.
2 days ago, a girl uploaded footage and photos of her where she's like beaten up, and she uploaded a voice note where she said she's recorded them having a conversation, and she's like telling him to back off, and he's like, no, I'll come and hit you if you tell me to back off. I want to have sex with you right now.
Right.
And he beat her up.
Ouch.
Okay, now I'm sure that yes, there might be some childhood trauma acting up here even with him.
Sure.
That's the understanding.
Right.
But this is what fame can sometimes also accelerate. It accelerates your demons.
I think we as a society, especially the more we go into the metaverse and Instagram and building this idea of following and fame, we need to start training people to understand fame and understand the good and bad of fame, because fame is going to start becoming a very important part of just our culture.
Yeah.
We've never had so many windows of becoming famous before. And I feel Imran, my friend who did Jana Tu Ya Janina, and we were very young when he got his first hit of fame. We were 24, 25. He once said something extremely, what I consider really valuable to me. He said, "Fame is a disease. We just haven't explored it yet."
Yeah.
And I understand what he's trying to say. There is a level of it that can sit in your mind and start
100%.
eating into it and building this fake idea of it. And that's why, and I'm not saying negate it and detest it. No, just like any other emotion, it is something we need to understand.
Yeah.
But I also feel that people need to psychologists need to start understanding it at a broader level and actually putting in place checks and measures that one can take as you're on the journey to become famous. I don't think it's something you should avoid, but it's something you should tread on very carefully.
Yeah, in the age of social media where fame is so widespread, I think this is a very interesting concept that we should speak more about how to handle it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more famous people now than ever.
Yeah.
Coming back to Mason Greenwood, dude, this is a world-class career which has literally come to an end right now.
Wow.
At the age of 19. And that's the downside of fame. Where
Yeah.
maybe you're meant to be something, but because you can't handle the fame, everything gets fucked up.
Yeah. And you're right, people are becoming famous at such an early age where they're not even equipped to handle it, right? And the repercussions of that we've seen in musicians who become very famous very early on. They don't know how to deal with that kind of attention, or or success and money. And the thing is, those things are great. They can provide so much comfort and also sometimes just purpose. But at the same time, they have a darker side to it. And I'm really actually very curious to kind of explore that, because it's never before in so to say in near history that this has happened with so many people at such an early age.
Because you're a director, you're also kind of the boss on set. So if you see an actor acting up in terms of this concept we spoke about, if you see someone starting to get arrogant, do you go give them feedback?
Depends on my equation and depends on how much time is left on set with them. If I have just 2 days of shoot left, I know I can get work done, I would let go. But if I think it's affecting my shoot, if I think it's affecting what output I'm getting, if I think it's going to affect what my film's going to look like, then I do go and have that chat. And I've had that chat with some very senior actors where I've had that moment where and in the most respectful way, because I think everyone at some levels aware when things are not going right, and they're open for a conversation. And I've always, dude, listen, here's the thing. Anybody at this level where when they're extremely, successful, there is an ego. But I think for me, the difference between great people who are successful is they know how to manage that ego. And if you go and sit next to them to have a conversation, and if you just lead in with the right intent, they're very quick to say, I get what you're saying. It just, you have to know, you have to be measured, you have to know when that conversation is needed and how you step into that conversation.